Hey guys, welcome back to A Community for All of Us. Today I am here with two authors I just purchased their book, so you can be on the lookout for a review. I am here with Jacob and also H.P. Holo, right?
Yes,
Holo?
Holo.
There we go.
Like hologram.
Holographic. So, first of all, you had me sold when I saw this one right here. Show y'all this one right here. Y'all know me, giant robots and sharks, but this has got giant robots. So,
But no sharks.
But no sharks. That's all right. I got sharks down there. So this is my other genre. So I also do a little toy review. So I like Transformers. So Jacob, how did you come up with your books? I see you have 3 out.
So for that particular series, it's kind of like various different properties had this party in my brain.
Yeah.
This came out, so it's kind of a mix of Gundam Wing,
Okay.
Evangelion, an old Squaresoft game called Xenogears.
Xenogears.
Maybe a dash of Dragon Ball Z in there as well. All mixed together, and it kind of had a party in my brain, and then the Seraphim Revival popped out.
Nice.
In trilogy form.
Trilogy form. I like it. I'm very interested, and I see the Seraphim. And you're also an author, so
yes, I am.
tell me one of your books that you have.
Well, I write primarily fantasy, and my newest series is called, the whole mess going here, Monster Punk Horizon. It's game-lit fantasy comedy, and it's essentially about 2 girls who are monster hunters as they get up to stupid misadventures whilst hunting monsters and just going about daily life in their setting.
So here's her book right here. I like the cover art on both of them.
Oh yeah, our cover artist was spectacular on this, and book 2 is actually out, it actually officially releases next week. But
Okay.
I love the cover of this one.
Oh,
even
yeah,
more than the
I love
first
it
one.
too.
And
That's
they
beautiful.
They keep getting better and better. Our artist Jackson Chota I found him online just doing other covers in this genre.
Right.
And the moment I saw those covers, I was like, I need to hire this artist. And so I did research to try to figure out who it was, and
good.
emailed him, and he was like, yeah, I'll do your covers, and he did spectacular work.
That is awesome.
I love him.
It's always been good to find someone that you can find and that matches your style. Now, as authors, do y'all write together?
We do actually.
So, if I could just step in. So, we write together, and we also edit each other's work.
Okay.
So, as I was editing Monster Punk Horizon, book 1 in her new series, I'm like, Heather, can I write a book in this series?
Oh, nice.
So, before you had finished
Book 1 wasn't even done
fully
yet.
editing book 1, I had come out with a rough draft for what ended up being book 3,
Yeah.
which she then went back to and expanded upon. So
Nice.
that one, book 3, which comes out,
December 23rd.
Okay.
we collaborated on that one.
Very nice. Well, I think that's awesome because my wife and I do collab on stuff also. You want to just expand upon how?
Oh yeah, we've also collaborated on my debut novel, which is The Wizard's Way, which is steampunk fantasy. And for every collaboration we do, the process works a little bit different. So I took the lead on this world, and Jacob, while he didn't do much of the writing of it, he really contributed a lot to the structure of it, so in helping with the plotting and whatnot. And initially it was just a novel that I was writing by myself,
Right.
but in the course of writing, he had such tremendous impact on the order in which the story was told that his name ended up going on it because it was that impactful.
That is awesome.
And it seems like, and we've got some other books that we're writing together too. You've got, with those books, he's actually writing the outlines for them, and then I'm doing the rough drafts for them. And so it's the
And
types
then,
of...
right, so, I'm kind of, laying out a skeleton, and then she comes in, she adds the meat to the skeleton.
Very nice.
Hands it over to me, and then I'm kind of keeping a overarching view on the series and, the tech and, the rule set for the fantasy world and whatnot, and kind of cleaning it up.
And helping with the pacing and everything
Right.
with it. Awesome.
And so we collaborate a little bit differently on every project, just varying according to what each project needs.
So it's very organic how y'all can work together. I find that amazing in couples that can do that because there's not very many. Not very many. But my wife and I have worked together for 20 years. We've been married for 20 years. So thank you. So we kind of collab on a lot of things that I worked on, and she kind of gave her influence. Do you find it difficult to sometimes, because there are that moments, like I was doing an artwork one time, and my wife Nikki came up, she just erased the whole thing and said that was awful. And for me, I was like, you just erased the whole thing I've been working on. But have y'all ever come to the point where, it's kind of hard to tell one or the other that I don't like the story?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Okay.
Because our writing styles are so very different that we butt heads frequently on minor details. And just to give you an example, Jacob, whenever he writes stories, he says that he designs them more so than writes them.
I kind of half jokingly and half seriously say that I don't actually write novels. I design them and then I construct them. So there's a lot of pre-planning before I even start working on chapter 1 that goes into the writing process for me.
Okay.
I don't do that.
Yeah.
I am more of this Monster Punk
You're
Horizon.
more about discovering the story as you go.
Monster Punk Horizon is the first series I've actually outlined. And the other stuff I've written has just been like, let's start the story and see where it goes. And so I'll have the world in my head, but not necessarily the plot. And so when we're working on the sequel to The Wizard's Way right now, and there have been points where I've been like, Jacob, I really want this cool detail in the world. But Jacob has been like, it contributes nothing to the plot. It doesn't earn its page space. And so just little back and forths like that. And so
cool.
it's just little conflicts in our writing style. But we smooth it out and make it work. And it ends up being better than anything the two of us could have produced on our own. So it works out.
That's very cool. I enjoy to hear that because with that, communication is always key. With this, you have several different stories that are out. I see you have some other books that's over there too. Is there any one of these that's your favorite?
That's like asking someone to pick your favorite child.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
I would say, you go first. I'm still thinking. I mean, I don't have many to choose from because I only got 2 series. But it's a tough question because each book represents a different stage of your writing ability, and it's like I have really close attachment to The Wizard's Way because it was my first book. I think the writing is spectacular, just my own humble opinion. But I also really enjoy Monster Punk Horizon because it represents a different stage in my writing style. I learned a lot of really useful stuff while writing The Wizard's Way, and was able to take all the mistakes I made, fix them, and then use what I learned to make something stronger. And it's a very different book, but I can definitely see my own growth. And so, from that perspective, Monster Punk Horizon is kind of my favorite book. But if I were to tell someone to read like any one book of mine, actually, I don't even know what I'd pick. If you like steampunk, read The Wizard's Way. If you like really crazy, stupid comedy, read Monster Punk Horizon. There we go.
Very good.
Go for it.
So, my favorite hasn't actually been published yet.
Okay.
So, the Gordian Division series, which is a time travel multiverse
Love that cover.
spanning series.
My
It's
cat is in
hypnotic.
there. Yeah, my cat is in the
The,
room in there. We'll be like, oh my god.
It's a series that David Weber and I collaborated on. The Gordian Protocols, the first traditionally published book that I was involved in, and I'm super happy that David invited me. At one point he said, hey, let's write this time travel series together. And little did he know that I'd once sworn to myself that I would never, ever, under any circumstances, write time travel. So of course I said, I think that's a great idea, David. Let's do that. The third book in the series,
Right.
which I think it's on the schedule to come out next year in October.
That sounds about right.
Not
Things
entirely
change in publishing.
right.
Oh, yes.
We're aiming for October.
That is actually my favorite book right now.
Okay.
In terms of what I've contributed to.
Right.
There's there's a lot of, while it's certainly a collaboration, there's a lot of me in that third book.
Oh, okay. Very nice. Very nice. The reason why I also ask is that with you doing the series, this is something as an artist and a comic artist that I came up to, is I just recently ended my long-running graphic novel series that was based loosely on my wife and I. Do y'all ever see an end coming to your characters?
Two specific ones, yes. The Wizard's Way series is going to be, like, the mainline story is going to be 4 books.
Okay.
I do have other side stories planned, but definitely there. Monster Punk Horizon, however, was written to be a universe that I can continually expand on because the stories are a lot simpler in that way. And Monster Punk as a series also... It kind of takes inspiration from whatever I'm enjoying at the time in terms of whatever anime I'm watching or video games I'm playing, and it parodies a lot of those things.
Okay.
And so I structured the Monster Punk Horizon series so that it could go infinitely if I wanted it to.
Okay.
And so it's kind of structured like Terry Pratchett's Discworld series in that it's a huge series, but each novel is kind of a standalone, and you can start at different points.
Yes.
And so with that one, I want it to run until people stop reading it. But with other stories, like especially more epic stories, I think authors who write epic stories have to start with an endpoint in mind, or it just becomes sprawling and uncontrollable.
I can agree with that. I've seen that happen.
Oh yeah.
So the Gordian Division series at its outset was designed to be open-ended, and each of the books, while they do build on themselves and they have kind of this future history that's being built up, are standalone stories in terms of their core, the core arc in each one of them. So that one's open-ended, and is open-ended by design. The giant robots, the Seraphim revival. Book 3, that's the end of that major story arc. Could there be another one? There is. I mean, the end of the third book, while it brings to close a lot of things, leaves some threads open. Say, hey, there could be more stories to be told in this setting. But yeah, that was it's like, yep, this is the ending. We're cutting off here. And so it depends on the kind of stories that I want to tell. I guess is it depends.
I get you.
It's the easiest way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it wasn't by plan or design. I come to this point where I was like, I do a comic strip, and I got to the end of it. And so the other question I want to ask, because this is something I had to deal with myself, I also was an art director and stuff with commercials and movies. Do you sometimes feel that if you get bogged down by doing I guess running the gauntlet, do you think that you'll ever get tired of it?
I think it's very possible to get tired of it, but I have different reasons for that. I have OCD, so it's easier for me to get. Oh yeah,
I understand.
You know the struggle.
As soon as you were saying like this is how I do the stories, I was like, oh god, we both have OCD. This is how we do it.
It's easy to get overwhelmed in the details.
Yes.
And I pretty frequently have to take a step back and look at what I'm doing and be like, okay, so what is actually essential to running your writing business?
Gotcha.
And what is actually essential to telling your story? And you need to focus on that, because if you don't focus on that and get meaningful work done, you're going to burn yourself out.
Yes.
And there are days where I can feel it building up, and I'm like, okay, self, my brain is all tangled up. I need to go do something to untangle it, whether that something is a little meditation or whether it is playing video games for a few hours. Just got to do it. And it's just a matter of being in touch with your own brain and knowing what your own brain needs, because burnout is a real challenge for a lot of career authors.
Yes. You get to that writer's block and you're trying to figure out what the next level is going to be.
Oh yeah, and especially for a lot of the indie writers who are making the big bucks these days are production writers, like churning things out and releasing things month after month after month. And it's the kind of thing where if you mess up on your schedule, like things begin to pile up. And so you've really got to know yourself and how well you work before you can really do that effectively.
Right, exactly. How about you? Do you see that anything would be?
I mean, I think with any sort of profession, overwork and burnout, is a potential risk, and you need to guard against it in some manner. I think that one of the ways that we as authors can approach this is that to occasionally shift our focus to a different series, for example.
Okay.
It's like, okay, I'm writing these really intense, epic, time travel things. There's all these moving parts and all these characters and a lot of complexity, which is enjoyable.
Right.
But there's a certain intensity to the writing process as well. Let's take a break and write about,
That's exactly how Monster Punk Horizon happened. I was working on The Wizard Circus, the title of the sequel to The Wizard's Way, and The Wizard Circus is I won't call it a dark book, but it's a heavy, complicated book. And I got to a point in writing it where my brain just got all tangled up in it, and it was like, you know what? I don't need to write about traumatized wizards. I need to write about something fun and dumb. And I didn't know what I was going to write at that point, but what emerged was the Monster Punk Horizon series.
Very nice. Now, with these, you see a lot of your love from your hobbies and things you like growing up. What was your biggest influence on each one of you that made you say, this genre right here is where I have passion to start with?
I know I don't know, it may not even be weird for my generation, but the Toonami programming block on Cartoon Network.
Yes.
Because I really began to come into my own as a writer when I was in junior high, and when Gundam Wing and Tenchi Muyo and all those things were beginning to, and all those shows were becoming popular, and anime was beginning to experience its next major wave at that time. And a lot of my stories combined elements from all the anime I was watching at the time, and I really loved the sort of whimsical, completely unbridled nature of it.
Right.
And by that point, I was absolutely certain, I want to write in sci-fi and fantasy, and not just sci-fi and fantasy, but completely bonkers sci-fi and fantasy. and it was pretty obvious to me early on how I wanted to write.
There are, I'd say, 3 key influences that kind of made me want to be a storyteller. Frank Herbert's Dune.
Oh, yes.
Big
Big fan. Love the books.
Some of David Weber's works, which
makes
crazy
the co-authorship
because
wild.
I know.
Yeah,
I was
I am now collaborating with one of the authors who inspired my writing. And
sometimes we just have to touch this book to make sure it's real, because it doesn't feel real that he wrote a book with one of his favorite writers. Continue.
And Terry Pratchett's Discworld.
Discworld, yeah.
Those 3, and they mix up here in weird ways.
Right.
One of the things that, I certainly enjoy the complexity of the world building, in Dune, in David Weber's works. I also like inserting bits of humor.
Good.
And I think that's where the Terry Pratchett influence comes in.
Right.
Where,
I'll add that Terry Pratchett had a pretty huge influence on me too. I didn't realize it at the time, because at the time I was reading his books and enjoying them, and over time I began to appreciate how complex they would be and how serious they could be, while also being just downright hilarious.
Right.
All right, I want to kind of just tell a quick story here.
Sure.
I'll try to make it quick. So we were on a panel, and I'm literally sitting between David Weber and my wife. And the question that they're just going down the line of authors, I think there's like 5 or 6 of us on the panel. It's like, if you could collaborate with any one author, who would it be and why? And they get to me, and I'm like, okay, since I'm literally between 2 authors I have collaborated with, one of which I am married to, I am going to personally restrict my answer to, authors who have passed away, just so I don't upset anyone. And then I said, and of course it would, I don't know what we would collaborate on, but it would be Terry Pratchett. And you were like, Dang it, that was gonna be my answer.
That is awesome.
Share.
So as we're coming to the end of this, where can they find your stuff, and where can they locate everything?
Our stuff is all centralized on our website at holowriting.com, but we're also available on Amazon and most other online retailers, Barnes & Noble, etc. Several of our books are on Audible. We're working on getting all of them there, but
Okay.
right now, Bane of the Dead, Throne of the Dead is coming out, that one being the second of the giant robot novels, the Gordian novels, and then Monster Punk Horizon and Time Reavers are out in audio, so we're slowly getting the whole
That's very
collection
cool.
out there.
And also the traditionally published books, the Gordian Division series at this point are available at stores like Barnes and Noble. Anywhere where fine science fiction and fantasy is.
Nice. Well, thank y'all so much. This has been excellent, been fun,
Thank you.
and very informative. So thank y'all so much.